Hey folks, and welcome to TK Power Sports. Even when kneeling, it's not often that I'm looking up at a tire, but today is one of those cases because we are testing this guy, the Argo Sasquatch, a vehicle that will almost literally go anywhere. And in this video, we're gonna do a bit of trail running, we're gonna take it out in some tall weeds, but most importantly, we're gonna sink it in the swamp and see how it swims, so make sure you stay tuned. Right off the top, a huge shout out goes to Country Corners Argo, located in Exeter, Ontario, for bringing out these units for us to test today. If you're interested in Argo, go check out Country Corners. Let's start by going over the numbers, and yes, this thing is a monster. Overall length here is 157 inches, width measures in at 101 inches, while the overall height is 113 inches. Ground clearance is a monstrous 26 inches, while the wheelbase comes in at 86 inches. Towing capacity on this unit is 5,180 pounds, while the dry weight is 5,295 pounds. The other number I want to tell you is fuel tank capacity. This thing can handle 26.5 gallons, which is 100 liters. Hey folks, let me take a minute now to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Strapino. They make ratchet straps, and most importantly, they are retractable ratchet straps. So all of that slack is always gonna go back inside. Now it's that time of the year, we just pulled our pontoon boat out of the water, and these are perfect for any marine application. Simply hook on those S-hooks, which have little safety latches themselves to make sure they're never gonna come off. Hook onto your trailer, ratchet that up, and away you go, and you're not dealing with that tail out here blowing in the wind. And when it comes time to take the strap off and store it, they store really small as well. So yes, if you're looking for a new set of straps for your boat, PWC, fishing boat, anything like that, make sure you go and check out Strapino. Let's walk around this guy now and look at all the features. So starting up front, this is how you access the unit right here. This flips down, gives you a little ladder. You'll see more of that later on. Right below it, you also get a 2-inch hitch receiver in the front, which I really appreciate. And off of there, you can pull just over 5,000 pounds. So yeah, you might be hooking up to actually pull something out, or maybe you have a hitch mounted winch you want to throw in there. Nice to have that flexibility. Now looking down below, there are no skid plates here because it doesn't need it. This thing is fully sealed up because it is amphibious. That is sort of one of the hallmarks of Argo vehicles, and the Sasquatch is no different. And I just love too how angled this is. So if you do run into something here, it should be able to glance off and get you up and over thanks to these massive tires. This is quite obviously one of the reasons why you want this vehicle, is because it packs these 71-inch tires. Not only are they monstrous, but there's a few things to note. First of all, you can deflate and inflate them from inside the cab using the touch screen. And there's a bunch of different drive modes. So Argo has basically preset PSIs for different things. If you're in the snow, if you're on the trail, if you're in the water, you hit that button and these will inflate to the exact PSI that you want. And we're talking really low pressures here. Basically between 1 and 3 PSI is where these big guys are gonna live. Now the other thing you're gonna notice is with the tread pattern, you have these sort of straight bars here, but then you get these angled bars with the little gap in the middle. This is about going in the water and providing that forward momentum with these paddles. So this is, not an accident. Argos of old had that chevron design, and they still do. This is reminiscent of that, and that's gonna help you to move through the water. Now, as we roll back, we do get a side door here because this is a crew cab model. So you actually get a little back seat there, which is honestly a pretty decent size if you're hauling a couple people out to a job site. So I appreciate that. And the other thing you'll notice, and I just have to mention it because it just feels so funny, just how tall this thing is, right? Everything I'm doing is up here above my head. It's not like anything else that you're used to with an ATV or a side-by-side. So come around the back. We do get a little box back here. Once again, another 2-inch hitch receiver right there. So if you are towing a trailer, kind of traditionally, you can do that. And then to access your cargo, you have a swing out door here. Argo lists this space at 57 cubic feet. Obviously, it's not wide, but it is long and it's very deep. So I appreciate that. If you have something sitting down in here, it's not going anywhere. There are a couple tie downs though. You do have D-rings sort of in all 4 corners down on the floor, so you can strap things in. And then up in the back of the bed there, you get an access panel to get into your power plant. Now you're probably wondering what that is. This is a 1.8 liter 3-cylinder turbo diesel, and it's actually built by Hyundai. So that's what's powering this unit right here. Now, outside of that, again, I do want to kind of use the word automotive because it does feel like that. You're getting automotive style glass. You can see the lights up there. You're also getting automotive style lights in the back, and these are turn signals. So you have full signals, full brake lights, full lighting all the way around. It does truly feel like what you're going to find in a pickup truck. And you know what? Why don't we climb inside now and I'll show you the interior. So climbing in is actually pretty simple. The ladder comes down quite low. I like that. And yeah, let's take a look in here. I mentioned it outside automotive style features. That's what you're going to see in here. So we'll start up here on the roof. You're getting a whole sound system there. So that's Bluetooth or radio, whatever you want. You can see just in front of it, interior lighting, quite a bit of interior lighting too, so it's going to light up the whole cab. And then even things like a headliner. That's a kind of a nice feature to have in here and makes it feel, you know, a little bit more luxurious, and it's going to help you with some of the sound deadening as well. You can see the switches over here too. We have windshield wipers, hazard lights, strobe lights, cargo lights, and interior lights, so all your different light switches. Now down below, I'll show you these switches. Over here in the very far corner, you are getting USB power, so if you want to charge your stuff while you're out there. Next to it's the bilge pump, very important for when you're in the water. It does have an auto setting, so you can just leave it on auto. And then there's your HVAC controls, and yes, we have heat and air conditioning. And it is pretty warm out here today, so we probably will be running the AC. So now let's fire up the power. And you can see the 12-inch touchscreen. Really a nice looking screen. High quality looking, has that sharpness to it, which I appreciate, and it's going to allow you to run many of your systems and give you all your crucial information. So there's your home screen. You can see inclinometer, RPM, and your speed. Down the right here is where you're going to control your tire pressures. So you have road, water, trail, mud, and snow. You hit those buttons, obviously depending on what you're driving in, and that will adjust your pressure, or there's a manual pressure down here at the bottom, so you can set it at what you want. So that's super cool. Now we'll go down the settings over here. That's your settings page. Vehicle info, and it's a lot of info. Look, you can see your steering angle there, your tire pressures, your power, your fuel level. Love having that. Just like in today's brand new trucks, your owner's manual is fully built in here, so you can get to all that information. There's your backup camera. It's not a very high quality camera, I will say, but the fact is you can't really see behind you in this vehicle, so having a backup camera is crucial. Plus, there is an available 360-degree camera you could get. This is a pretty unique screen. This is the diag screen, and this is going to give you, if you have an error, if you have a code thrown essentially while you're out somewhere in the bush, this will give you all that information. So if you call an Argo tech, you can tell them specifically what the vehicle is saying to help you diagnose any problems. Now that's night mode, and then that button right there turns on the zero turn mode, and we will show you that when we're out there on the trail. Now besides that, the other controls you're going to see here are pretty self-explanatory. It's a steering wheel. It's not like other vehicles in this segment that have a joystick or a set of joysticks. It's a steering wheel like you already understand from your car. Here's your shifter, drive, neutral, and reverse, straightforward. The only thing you have to know here is you do have an overdrive. That's if you do want to take it up to top speed. If you're on a road or something like that and you just want to get from point A to point B, you use overdrive. Otherwise, off-road, you're always just in drive. I can show you too, this steering wheel tilts quite a bit, so regardless of what size you are, and this front seat slides forward and back quite a few inches. So yeah, this will fit just about anybody. And then down below, a gas pedal and a brake pedal. Once again, just like any vehicle that you are already used to. So all of the comfort features are in here that if you're heading out into the middle of nowhere, this thing is going to be great to work with for a full day. If you're wondering where this thing comes from, well, I am proud to tell you that Argo is a Canadian company, and this Sasquatch is built down the road in New Hamburg, Ontario. All right, Dad, now the true fun begins, because we're out here in the Sam Squamch, the Sasquatch.
The Saskatchewan.
The Saskatchewan, and this thing is, it's just, again, like nothing else in the off-road market. Now, there are some competitors to this. Everyone knows the Sherp, there's the Fat Truck, so there's some other companies that have come up with this design. But if you're coming from an ATV, a side-by-side, a snowmobile, an off-road truck, this is nothing like any of that. And it's mostly just because of the tires, right? They're so big. The tires are purely the suspension here, so it can be a bit of a rough ride until they're a little bit softer. But the big thing too is the sight lines are really amazing. The ground clearance is unbelievable. I don't know, what's your first impression jumping behind the wheel?
That it'll do just about anything.
Yeah.
And go anywhere.
Absolutely. And I'll speak again to the tire pressures. What's cool is over there on the screen, Dad is able to just pick different drive modes. So right now it's in trail mode, that's 2.5 PSI, and that actually smoothed it out because we did have it in road mode, which was 3 PSI, and even that 0.5 PSI, you can feel it out here. It truly does make a difference. Now, I think probably the biggest deal on the Sasquatch here, Dad, is right there in your hands. It's a steering wheel. Argo hasn't gone with a joystick. A lot of these machines are hydrostatic, and they use a joystick, much like what you'd find in a, in a rig that's out on a construction site, right? On a backhoe or something like that. Argo has moved away from that. They think they want this to be as akin to your vehicle as it possibly can be. So Dad has a steering wheel, and he has pedals down below.
And we got to talk about the fact that this is a vehicle which is generally going to be bought by mining exploration companies, hydro, all right, forestry outfits. So it's a industry type vehicle. And there's one thing that you got to remember: these things are going to be driven by a whole lot of guys, and you got to make it dead easy and familiar for them,
right?
Because it's an expensive unit, and the last thing you want them to do is screw it up.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd say this is dead easy. Talk to me about the steering a little bit, sort of how it feels, and then the fact that it's such a short kind of throw from lock to lock.
Yeah, it takes about 30 seconds to figure it out. You've only got a couple of inches really from left to right. So you just get used to the fact that you're doing tiny, tiny inputs.
Right.
And yeah, other than that, and the other thing, of course, is that sure you have a brake pedal, but the truth is if you get right off of the accelerator, the thing comes to a dead stop.
Right, and we're even on a pretty steep hill here too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll tell you, man, it does take a second to understand what it'll handle, because we're coming over this stuff and I'm like getting worried that we're gonna roll it, and the Argo guys who are with us, they are just laughing. I mean, like, we're not even pushing this thing at all.
Not even close.
And again, it takes a while to get sort of a feel for it and to understand where those limits are, because the limits are so high, they're so astronomical that it takes a second. So Dad, I think it's time, if you want to swing a hard right here, and we can head down into the pond, because that's the other reason why one of these things is so desirable. It's fully amphibious. If you are crossing ponds, little streams, anything like that, this thing is going to handle it. I think the one limitation, and this is the same for any Argo, you don't want any water that has too strong of a current, and you don't want any water that has any real waves. So no, you're not out in, a big open lake or something like that.
You don't want to go upstream of the Niagara Falls.
Correct, but for what we're about to do, a gnarly little pond here, it's absolutely perfect.
It's freaky thinking that we're just going to drive into this here.
Right, so the other thing you got to do that is put it into water mode.
Okay, water mode.
Water mode. And then we have the bilge pump set to auto. What's interesting about water mode is it's actually bringing us back up to 3 psi because you want the tire to be hard to allow those
Stiffer,
paddles to do their work.
You've got these significant paddles on there.
Exactly.
And so that this thing, once we're floating, because that's the thing, these tires are so huge, the entire unit floats just on the tires.
All right, water mode engaged. Here we go. Now it's the SS Sasquatch.
Oh, it's just so ugly coming in here. It's like, I can't believe I'm driving something into this. This is a hideous swamp. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're just like, oh man, we're going down.
Oh, this is so cool though.
And yet we're not.
No, and that's it. Like, we were floating for a second, now we're not. But this is another thing with these tires, with this machine, you're just not worried about what's at the bottom of this swamp. It could be the gnarliest sort of silt and sludge. You just have this feeling that I know I'm gonna make it through there.
Yeah, well. Oh! Okay, that's it. We are now fully floating.
We are floating.
We are absolutely fully floating. Now it's all about spinning these tires.
And you're not going to go anywhere fast. You know, Argo's not claiming any speed records in the water. No. Probably 3-4 miles per hour.
No.
But that's what this whole machine is also about. It's about slow and steady. It's not really about taking anything with any speed, right? It's all about just working your way through things, and it works its way through anything.
Yeah, no kidding. And also going sideways.
Yeah, well, again, you're kind of at the mercy of the currents now a little bit. Now, you can put it in zero turn mode if you want just one side to operate to help you really go around a corner.
Really? Okay, well, no, I'm not going to do that, but yeah, this is, damn. I mean, it's freaky and it's fun. I keep looking at the floor, but there's no water coming in.
There's no water coming in.
So it's okay.
The smell's coming in. The smell is coming in. Oh, see there, you just contacted on the left, so that helped us kind of turn a little bit.
Yeah, there's something under the water here. There's no body. Whoa!
It's grabbing something.
There's something down there. All right, let us up. Whoa! What the heck?
I'm telling you, you can try it. If you take it off and you go into zero turn.
Okay. Well, wait a second. It's turned on by itself.
You might come around. Because again, you're playing with the currents now. This is not what you're used to in any off-road vehicle where you have to...
Yeah, now it's not just about steering. It's about which way is the water trying to push you.
You're in a boat.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well that actually worked. You let off the throttle and it allowed it to turn.
Yeah, well there's a bit of a learning curve right there, isn't there?
For sure.
Okay, well we're floating again. We're going to head back towards the entrance here.
And then I think the other thing we should mention, and this is the perfect place to mention this, Dad, we have air conditioning. We could have the tunes on if we wanted. It's pretty quiet in here, all things considered. Like, it's not like the engine's screaming away. So not only are we out in some of the gnarliest off-road situations you can imagine, we're in total comfort. You know what I mean?
Oh, we just climbed.
And now we're back on the mud. Yeah, there's no reason why you should be able to come through something this gnarly in something this comfortable, but that's exactly what Argo has done here.
And not a drop of water inside. We're perfectly dry and everything's calm. And Liam's not screaming, which is normally what happens in these off-road situations. So yeah, and you know, I just look, even the entrance that we've used here, there's not a truck in the world that we could get into this thing.
Oh my gosh, no.
So this is like so otherworldly, driving this thing. So I might have to go get a job with Hydro just so I can drive this for fun.
And it is fun, man. It's such a different way. You know what? In a lot of off-road vehicles, the fun of it is kind of you in the vehicle versus the obstacle, overcoming the obstacle. This is sort of like that, but more, this is just looking at things going, no, I can't go through there, and then you go through
and then you're going through it.
The fun of it is just seeing exactly what this thing can handle, because it's a ridiculous amount. So yeah, you know what? It's not going to come cheap. If you're just, you know, Joe off the street and you want one of these for fun, you're paying a lot for it. But for a commercial application, I can't think of anything better. Like you said, mining exploration, where you're really out in the bush, there's no trails, you're making your own way. Yeah, I can't think of anything better than this right here. And I should mention, when you put it in overdrive, you can actually get this thing up to 40 kilometers an hour. Now there's no off-road situation where you want that, but if you are working with it and you're moving from job site to job site down the road, yeah, you can wind this thing up to 40K, so the top speed's actually not bad as well. Alrighty folks, well, our day with this Argo Sasquatch is done, and what a day it was. You truly have to rewire your brain as to the kind of obstacles you can tackle when you're behind the wheel of a vehicle like this. But no, if you want one of these, it won't come cheap. The unit you're looking at right here is gonna cost you right around $240,000. But for that price, you're getting just about everything you could ever want. Basically, the only thing this thing doesn't do is fly. So yes, that's the end of this one. Now, please drop into the comments and let me know your thoughts on this Argo Sasquatch. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of TK Power Sports. Then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.